Welcome coaches, this is Maddox and we're here in this video to show you our new auto-populated R4 grid, game plan, and practice call sheets. When you open up the file, the first thing you're going to see is a lot of tabs. The tabs are broken up left to right. The best practices tab will give you the list of instructions if you get lost or unsure on how to use the documents. The personnel tab is highlighted in orange here. And the Personnel tab is where we'll enter in all of the defensive information for the weekly opponent. The play call sheet front page is where auto-populated information for the game plan grids will be filled in as we fill those out. The back of the play call sheet will be a printed off sheet that you can use to draw up formations looks for an upcoming opponent during the game or before the game. And then after that, you'll have your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday practice script that you will use the auto-populated information to fill in. The black tabs here represent the formations that you will use for your opponent. All of us use different formations in personnel, so you might not have as many or you might have more. The first thing that you want to do is you want to enter in your offensive formation on each of the formation tabs that you will use, using your terminology and your personnel. So for example, RIP formation for us is a tight end trips formation with 11 personnel. So when we click on that tab, we will make sure that each of these R4 grids are positioned in RIP formation. Each tab can be renamed to your specific formation name. Any field in yellow font is meant for coach input. However, once you build your offensive formations, you won't normally change personnel and formation names again. Each week, you will change defensive front and coverage based on the opponent. PS Form ID is your play sheet formation ID. You will change this weekly based on which formation is your Rhythm 1, Rhythm 2, Rhythm 3, Rhythm 4, Read 1, Read 2, Read 3, Read 4, Rush 1, Rush 2, Rush 3, Rush 4 formations. Not all formations are needed or used in each game. So for example, if we wanted to use RIP formation as our Rhythm 1 formation, we would type in Rhythm 1 here in yellow, and that would now auto-populate any information that we fill in this grid to the play call sheet in that appropriate section. So for example, if we wanted to run 4 Echo, which is a zone read for us, that play would now populate in our Rhythm 1 formation for RIP formation with 4 Echo here in the play call sheet. So all of our game plan grids are now auto-populated and correspond with the play call sheet. The PS Form ID field does not have to be filled in until you decide on which formations will be your Rhythm 1, Rhythm 2, etc. for your game plan. For example, let's say that as we're going through this sheet in the game plan process and we're going through our formations to decide which formations are going to be our rhythm formations, let's say we click on left tray, for example, and as we look at the plays for left tray against this upcoming opponent, maybe we feel these schemes are going to be better with our personnel against their personnel. So instead of making this formation a Rhythm 2 formation, maybe we want to make this a Rhythm 1 formation. And so we type that in, and all that does is it auto-populates this grid into the play call sheet here as our Rhythm 1 formation. So that's what you'll want to do after your game planning process. After you fill in your grids, you can go back and go through your formation tabs and decide which formations do you want to be Rhythm 1, Rhythm 2, Rhythm 3, Rhythm 4, and then the same for the read and rush grids as well. The tabs labeled goal line, red zone, 2-minute, and third down should not be renamed. Okay, these tabs and formations in these tabs will auto-fill in the play call sheet. As multiple formations may be used in these situations, you will want to add that formation name in front of the play. So for example, let's click on the goal line here. Let's say one of our strong side runs is out of a single wing formation. Maybe it's our 26 Q power play. Okay, then we have our 2-point Philly special play out of that as well. Okay, maybe on our weak side run, it wants to be out of a different formation. So on these formations, we want to make sure we enter in the formation name with the play. And then if we wanted to run a different formation with a different concept week, we would enter it in there. Now, these goal line grids, we don't change these names. They're always going to be there, used every week. So if we go to the play call sheet, we can now scroll down to the goal line section, and we can see that these plays are filled in there, and we want to make sure that the formation names are in front of these situational grids because we're going to be using different formations for a lot of these concepts. After you fill in all of your formation tabs and get your formation set up, you're going to want to save this sheet as a master copy. So if any glitches or any errors occur, you can come back and reuse this sheet for the next setting. So what we would do here is we would save this VC master game plan sheet 2018. Okay, save that in a place where you know you can recover and recall it, and that will help if any issues arise later. Next, let's pretend like we're getting ready for an upcoming opponent. We're going to go into our file, we're going to open up the master game plan sheet. When the game plan sheet opens, we're going to next save this sheet for the upcoming opponent's name. So for example, let's say we're playing Centennial High School. So we're going to go in, we're going to save this master sheet, and we're going to say BC Varsity versus Centennial. And we're going to put the date of the game on there. You might want to add week 1, week 2, whatever you can do to organize, because you're going to refer back to these game plan sheets, especially if you play these opponents again in the playoffs. Okay, once you have saved the sheet according to the opponent that you're playing, the next thing you want to do is go to your personnel tab that you see here. Okay, when you click on personnel, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you change the name. Okay, so I'm Victory Christian, so I'm going to put Victory Christian there. If you're the Oklahoma Sooners, you'd put Sooners there. Okay, then we're going to change the week, so it's week 1. We're good there, and then we put the opponent. In this situation, it's going to be Centennial, and then the date of the opponent would be filled in there. Okay, now the next thing you're going to look at is the base personnel of the defense that you're going against. You want to look at these names for positions. Now we use boundary corner, boundary safety, field corner. You may use a right corner, left corner, strong safety, free safety, jack, joker, whatever you want to use, you can change those there. Same for your linebackers. Okay, so use your terms or your abbreviations that you want to use for your team. And then after that, you would fill in the numbers of the opponent that you're breaking down that plays that position. Now, there's some additional grids here for any sub packages that you might be going against, or if maybe they play like a nickel package on third down, they play a goal line package, and you want to have a different personnel name for those positions. That's there if you need it. For most of us, we can just live with our base personnel, but this is just there if you need it. We'll refer to that later. One of the best features of this document is the ability to enter in the defensive personnel and their numbers for a specific opponent and how it auto-populates to each formational tab that you have listed like we do here. So let's go to the RIP formation. As we look at the documents, all the formations on the R4 grid, you can see that the numbers of the players and the names of the players in terms of their defensive position are all auto-populated there. So it's very easy and a very big time saver for you as a game planner. Coolest thing about this document is that you can adjust the apex lines for the halo. So if you want to maybe adjust your split that particular week for that opponent and you want to illustrate where those apex lines are, you can do that. You also have the ability to move the bubbles of space around wherever they occur on the halo. So you can see those bubbles of space can be moved, and you can even get even more in depth, and you can change and rotate those defenders to represent the different hip angle positions they may have in that pre-snap position. Okay, another cool feature is that the man advantage count can be changed based on the alignment of the personnel. So that's another helpful tool in just making sure that we're game planning concepts into that numbers advantage, or how we need, or areas where we need to neutralize that man advantage if we still want to run or throw into that space. So every one of these game plan grids, even if they're in a different formation, will all have that same information auto-populated into it. So once again, big time saver, and that's what R4 is all about. It's accelerating everything. Once the coverage, alignment, and personnel grades have been laid down over the R4 grid, we can now go back to each formation and start game planning. So for example, now we can use this information that we see here, see the man advantage, You see the bubbles of space, and we can start filling in our rhythm side of our grid. So we'll use that example. We'll just say we're going to run 4 echo, which for us is a zone read. We're going to run an RPO, which is 5 bomb for us. Let's say we're going to run a quick games stick concept. And then we'll have a 5-step shot intermediate post flood concept. All right, so once those plays are entered in and we feel good about that formation, we would go along there and we would now decide, after we get all our information in, which formations want to be our rhythm formations, which would be our read, what do we want to do for our rush grids, and then we would label those there in yellow, and those would correspond to the play call sheet up here at the front. Okay, so for example, as soon as you enter in where you want them with that rhythm 1, rhythm 2, rhythm 3, those would auto-populate here in the play call sheet. So we start to pretty much build out our play call sheet by just using the R4 game plan sheet. So we're going to spend most of our time just in these grids, getting the proper looks, getting the proper plays, and it saves time having to go back and do double work with typing in our play call sheet, and cuts that at least one process out of the mix. After you have entered in all the information on your game plan grids and your play call sheet is filled out, you will next use the Playlist tab to create your weekly practice plans. Practice plans vary, so the attached weekday scripts are set up to copy and paste based on your practice schedule. As we click on the Playlist tabs, you will see that every play that has been entered on the play call sheet and in the grids is listed here below. Use the filter options at the top of the Playlist tab to only show the plays that you want to focus on for each practice. Click on Empty filter to remove all formations that don't have plays set up. This removes any empty sections out. Next, we can click on the play type to filter only rhythm plays for a rhythm practice. So for example, Monday is rhythm and release day. So we would go to the play type tab, deselect, and only click on the rhythm plays and the release plays. We click OK, and now all of those concepts are filtered out on the sheet. To get even more detailed, let's say we only want to focus on the rhythm grid. So then we deselect and click on the rhythm 1, 2, 3, and 4 grids at the top of the play call sheet, and now our list is reduced even further. This is very helpful to hone in on what needs to be practiced most. From this point, you would copy and paste onto your practice script sheet. We don't want to use any sort features here on the playlist sheet. We only want to use sort features within the practice script for the appropriate day. So we're going to highlight the information, we're going to copy, and then we're going to go to the Monday script, and then we're going to paste that information here on the Monday script. Once your selected plays from the playlist for that particular day of practice are copy and pasted in, you can now do any filters and sorts that you want within these columns with this information. That won't mess up the codes. Typically what I do is for example, if I'm in charge of the passing game, is I'll come in here and I may hide the run columns and hide those so it condenses the 3 and 5 step concepts that we're running for this particular game plan. And then let's say I'm in charge of filling in the 7-on-7 sheet for the day. So I'd go down to the 7-on-7 section of practice, and I'd fill in, the rip, bob, sword tip, space, alert, all those plays that were in the 3-step and 5-step play. And then I would go down to our team period where we're in team, and then wherever it's a best release play or a pass play, I'd fill that in accordingly there. So you have a lot of freedom with this as a staff to kind of use it as deep as you want or as loose as you want. Really, with us having different personnel, different teams, different practice scripts, and different practice formats, it's very difficult to have an auto population of from the play to the play sheet to the specific day of practice you want to use it. And with all the changes week to week, with the injuries in the season, and maybe some teams we have to do work on one play more than the other, it's really kind of difficult to auto-populate a specific play every week at the same spot. So this is the best workaround that we found for that issue. As you create your play call sheet for the game, it's very important that you understand that where you position the formational grids is predicated on how you fill those in the upper left-hand corner. So, for example, the PS form ID, okay, rhythm 1, rhythm 2, rhythm 3, rhythm 4, whatever you type in there is where it will correspond and show up on the play call sheet. So, for example, we put in rhythm 1 for the rip formation. So, when we go to the play call sheet, the rhythm 1 formational grid for the rip is going to be in this section here. So let's say maybe I wanted to change and I'm midweek and I don't really like the rip formation as my rhythm 1. Maybe I want this bunch formation to be my rhythm 1. So I would go into the bunch formation tab, I would click on that formation, and I would change that to rhythm 1. Okay, now I cannot have two simultaneous formational grids with the same PS form ID code. So what I would need to make sure I do there is for rip would be either to delete the rhythm 1 from the rip formation or change and put where I want that rip formation. So let's say maybe I want to make the rip formation the read 1, and I hit enter. And then now if we go to the play call sheet front, you'll see that now the right bunch formational grid plays are here in the rhythm 1 section. And then in the rip formation, it is now a read 1 formation. So those highlighted yellow tabs for each R4 grid are very critical to make sure you don't have duplicates and make sure you have the appropriate section of the play call sheet listed here of where you want them. Another key feature of this game planning and play calling document is the ability to transpose your plays on a wristband. If you're a wristband team or you need the aid of a wristband for longer play calls, you would simply go to the wristband tab. You will see a column to the left that says WB number. That's wristband number. You can hold up to 200 plays on these 3 cards that are color coded, and you can change the colors to whatever you want. For example, this play on play 1, I would type in the formation and the play, and that auto-populates there in that section for the wristband 1 number. That's the green card. If you go to the front page of the play call sheet, you can see the green section is the rhythm grids. There's wristband play number 1. That's Ripio Alpha Check, which we just typed in on the main sheet of the wristbands. So again, if you want that option or need that availability, it's there for you in this document.
Now that we have the play sheet printed off front to back, we can see our field-specific plays on the front side and look at our anticipated cap alignments in the formational frames provided on the back side. We will use the breaks between the grid segments to make 2 folds in the play sheet for easier handling. As you look at the front of the sheet, make a fold between the grid segments. As you begin to fold, use your formational frame lines on the back to make precise folds in the play sheet. Now looking at the front of your play sheet, make the same fold in the game plan grids to the right. Now that we have made the folds in the play sheet, you can easily open and close a side to focus on hash-specific plays. For example, if we are on the left hash, you can fold the right flap of the play sheet. Then you can scan through the left hash plays at the same time you have your left side formational frames present on the right. This allows you to get a faster beat on looks and in-game adjustments that might need to be made. The R4 play sheet is a great tool for game planning, practice scripting, and play calling.
This game planning and play calling sheet was designed to be a one-stop shop for you and your staff to accelerate your weekend work time, breaking down an opponent and getting ready for an upcoming game. It's our passion to create materials and systems that can make your life easier as a coach and give you more time with your players and family doing what matters most.